Hey everyone, Caleb with Hold Fast Hardware, and today I'm getting to you guys with a video sort of explaining why I am starting with nails and a big old nail machine for my hardware company. So obviously I'm not just doing nails, I'm doing copper nails, and that sort of has part of the secret in it of itself is copper nails, not just a normal steel nail. So first things first, guys, why in the world is someone starting a nail company in 2026? In fact, I actually started things in 2025. I started doing all the research seriously to get just a machine in 2025. I had looked into it in the past. I had run a lot of numbers in the past, but I didn't go and actually get stuff going until 2025. And that's what really got the ball rolling. And end of the day, what got me into fasteners in general was the fact that I would walk into Home Depot and I'd need a bolt, or oftentimes I wouldn't need a bolt because I have a bolt drawer, and I'm a cheap German, which means I hoard stuff that is useful, and not just hoarding to hoard, but useful things. So I have a good old bolt drawer. In fact, got a good old bolt and nut bag right here, big ones that I've used a lot already for different things. But what really got me going on this is I would go into the hardware store and I would look at stinking all these nuts and these bolts, and I'm looking at these prices and I'm like, I know how they make these. This pricing is absolutely stupid. This is way too expensive. The product, yeah, it's a good product, but I don't like galvanized stuff, first off, and most of these things that I'm seeing are all galvanized. But besides that, it's like, this is a ripoff. And for me, when I see ripoff, this here cheap German sees a ripoff, I get a little bit upset. I think they call it miffed. These kids these days call it that. And end of the day, when I get bothered by something, when I decide to do something about it, I decide to do something about it in a big way. So this machine, guys, right here, it weighs a little bit more than your mother. It's 3,000 pounds. In fact, it weighs a little bit more than my mother, and that's a shock. And I can make those jokes because my dad even makes fat jokes about my mom, and trust me, my mom's not fat. But with all that said, it's really fun for me having this machine here at long last, because as I already said, I ordered this thing and finally did all this stuff to actually get this business going back in 2025. It has been a long time coming to get this thing going, and I am so excited to finally have it. But again, let's go back to the main point here. Why in the world start a nail business in 2026 or 2025? Doesn't really matter. Especially if this idiot right here just said he wanted to do nuts and bolts. What's the disconnect here, Caleb? This is a nail. There's not even thread on this. There's no nuts for this. Are you nuts? So something that's crazy about bolt machines and nut machines and all these other machines that put threads onto the device itself, the fastener itself, they are expensive out of the wazoo. Imagine that. That's sort of why we haven't seen a huge decline in the prices on these units. It's really expensive to break into that market. Duh. That's why they sort of have that hedge. Something that Warren Buffett loves in all of his different businesses that he invests in is that hedge. He wants there to be as large of a hedge as possible before he buys into a business. So that is why, for instance, a lot of people like investing into waste management. Waste management, they are one of the largest owners of landfills in the country. And it's really, 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 really stupid hard to get a new landfill opened in the United States these days because, let's face it, not a lot of people want a brand new landfill in their backyard. Landfills, they have a tendency to smell a little bit bad. And as someone that worked as a garbage man for a short spell, I can confirm they do not smell fantastic. Garbage is not the cleanest thing in the world. Imagine that. But that moat, it creates a whole lot of value for that company. And, well, if we're talking moats, those bolt companies, those nut companies, they have a pretty rootin' tootin' nice moat right there, because the units to make those things, on the absolute low end, we are talking $100,000 on the absolute cheapest end, maybe somewhere in the 50s. And if you buy it used, still roughly around that price. And I'm talking like you buy it, again, used or on Alibaba. If you're buying the fancy company ones from Western Europe or Central Europe or even the United States, that price immediately hops on up to 100 or hundreds of thousands of dollars, which last I checked, one little machine that costs more than someone's house, that counts as a moat. So with that said, why in the world am I coming in on nails? Well, the thing about nails, folks, is This machine is a whole lot cheaper than those hundreds of thousands of dollars a unit. And in addition to that, a bolt. If you're buying a bolt, well, you have to buy some pretty thick feedstock for that. You're not going to be buying wire like so. You're not going to be buying wire like this. You're going to be buying big old billets and lots of other, whatever you want to call the terminology, but big old chunks of metal, big old rods that you're then going to be forging the heads onto, that you're then going to be cutting the threads into. And it's a whole huge manufacturing process. Whereas, if you guys can't tell, I'm in a garage. That's a garage door. This is not a business that you could do in your garage if you were starting with doing bolts, not doing nuts. Potentially you could do it with screws, because screws, the machine's just a little bit bigger than this, and usually you'll have like something sort of like this, and then the machine that actually does the threading. So 2 machines. It's not too dramatically huge. It's not too dramatically outside of the picture of what you could do. So that's actually one of the reasons why between doing nails and doing bolts, I probably will get into doing screws, but this is a much more achievable thing. This is a much smaller buy-in to get going as a business. Of course, it's not easy. Again, I spent almost a year now working on this, which is, last I checked, that's a lot of work to even get a stupid business going. And in fact, I'm not even selling product just yet. This is literally just machines here, the wires here, the power's hooked up. That was an endeavor in and of itself. But I am finally ready, about 9 months later. From getting the machine like in the US and picking it up myself, we're more like 6 months. So it was 6 months to set up and get everything worked out, all the different pieces that had broken or needed replaced for one reason or another. That took a whole spell of time. It's an adventure, let's just say. And that is why, for me, I'm doing this channel. My moat still exists. It's like, is this a lot easier for someone to buy into? Yes. But that moat of the amount of work that it takes to get this going, that's where your moat is. I mean, it's sort of like doing the antique book business, which is another business that I do. The antique book thing, it's like, okay, anyone can go out and buy an antique book and sell it on eBay, but your moat comes from when you learn how to buy them well, how to walk into a place and immediately identify the ones that are of more value, where you can find the best, cheapest ones, the best places to sell them, all that sort of stuff. It's a knowledge moat. This one is a big old knowledge moat, plus a patience moat, plus a bit of a knowledge moat on just being able to stink and import these things. It is a big old learning curve. It's pretty exciting. In fact, I would say it's easier to import one of these machines than it was to import a lot of different plants that I have imported from China, which requires a whole different set of knowledge and permits and all this jazz. This, I didn't even need a permit to import, which was so nice. With all that said, though, nails. It's a lot smaller of a moat. Sorry, it's a lot easier for me to make. The amount of things that can go wrong is a whole lot less. In fact, what all moves on this machine? I'm glad you asked. So it has a little feed mechanism right here. You guys can't really see it. It's not too important, but this is the wire straightener. Over there, I actually have the payoff reel, which is basically a giant spool. Obviously, I have a spool right here. I can put that on the payoff wheel. Right now, I can't. I'll have to figure something out to use that directly. We'll figure that out when it comes, but as things stand, you just need to, for moving parts here, payoff reel, not entirely necessary. Wire straightener, that is necessary. And then you have this part right here. This one just draws the wire in. And then you have a part in here. It puts the rings onto the nails themselves. And then you have a part in here that will cut it. You have a part here that makes the head. That's not a whole lot of moving parts. The screw one, you have a lot more moving parts and a lot more things that need to get replaced more often, because you are actually cutting threads into things. And for the bolts, it's the same sort of thing. You have to cut stuff into these hardened steel or whatever metal you use to make sure that you get a good quality thread. And you have to replace those often and make sure that the thread is as well cut as possible, because once you are cutting with something that's not as sharp as it needs to be, it gets a little bit gummy. Fortunately, with nails, you don't have as many cutting things. You don't have as many things that could wear out. My dies and my cutters on this. My cutters, 2 pieces. My mold, 2 pieces. And then my punch, 1 piece. So we're looking at a grand total of 5 parts that I have to replace. When I was talking to the people that were selling me this unit, they were like, oh yeah, it lasts for like 6 months, stuff like that. on like full production. And for me, I'm not going to be able to afford full production for a while because I'm doing copper wire, which is a little bit more expensive than low grade steel or mid grade steel, which is what most nails are made out of. Of course, I talked about doing this with just one machine right here. One machine. I'm doing copper. I'm sure a lot of you guys are used to doing galvanized nails and stuff like that, coated nails. So it's not just going to be an all shiny piece of steel for your nail or screw or whatever you're using. You're normally going to get one that has some sort of coating on it. It's going to be some sort of, normally like something with copper in it or something like that to have it so it resists rust. And if it's not copper, it's going to be zinc. It's going to be coated with something more often than not, just because, again, steel rusts. Imagine that. You can also get stainless steel ones. Long term, I actually do want to at least try to make stainless steel nails on this machine. It is a big goal of mine. It is going to be a bit of a leap. We'll definitely see if I can actually swing that. I'm hopeful that I'll be able to, but again, we'll have to see how exactly that works, if it works at all. When I was buying it, I did get some assurances that it should be able to, and when you actually look at the hardness of mild steel versus stainless, there are some stainlesses that it's right in there of it should be able to do it, could do it. Again, we'll have to see. Believe it or not, there's not a whole lot of English stuff out there on Chinese-made machines that are not the top-of-the-line ones that everyone's using. Imagine that. So again, there's a big learning curve for a lot of this. I'm going to be doing lots of different videos on operating this to show you guys all the cool things about it. Obviously, we're going to have different camera angles than just here and just over there. We're going to be getting into things a whole lot more. But again, let's go back to the main question of this channel. Why in the world are you starting a nail company? Okay, we went over the price, we went over the moat. I have a little bit of a moat here. It's not a big moat, but at the end of the day, back to the moat thing, back to several other things. It's the cheapest, best way I can get into the market. And that is not entirely true of this being the cheapest possible thing. Is the machine cheapest? No, I actually bought one that's a little bit more expensive than some of the other ones. Is it the product I'm going to be making is the cheapest? No, the copper nails are actually more expensive. The profit margin is a little bit healthier because of that. And that's sort of where an issue comes in. The 1,000 feet of copper wire that I showed off me unboxing, or I will show off me unboxing in another video. We'll sort of see how this, how I drop this, when I drop this, all that sort of stuff. That 1,000 feet is enough for this thing to run for not even a half hour. To run this whole unit for 1 month of just a 1 8-hour shift thing a day for a whole month, we're looking at about $200,000 of copper wire to keep the thing running. $200,000 is a lot of money. And now we are sort of playing with, back to the whole thing of a lot of these other companies, they are buying screw machines that are $100,000, $200,000 plus. There are nail machines that do that same $100,000, $200,000 plus to buy one new nail machine. Obviously, it's going to do a little bit better than this, larger production than this, a few other things than this, but we still are coming to the conundrum of $200,000 of copper wire to get going. The little spool that I have, $600. Not terrible. Profit margin, I'll be able to quickly increase how much wire I am using. I'm actually starting this business on a bit of a shoestring budget. That's actually why I'm not sharing with you guys exactly how much I paid for this, and I won't be sharing that until we are proving this company to actually be something that's useful, that's making money, all that sort of stuff. In fact, the wire, the copper wire, I might buy a little bit more wire of a different metal. In fact, aluminum is going to be another one that I'm going to be playing with. But I'm still not going to be digging into my savings a whole lot to get all this going. I set myself a pretty hard cap on what I wanted to start to get this company started, what I wanted to start my budget with. And I'm trying to stay in that as best I can to sort of have an extra proof of concept, if you will, that not only can you manufacture the most basic stupid things here in America, but you can do it on a very tight budget and quickly grow that into a business that is worth something. Because at the end of the day, the point of business is to make something that is worth something. We aren't just here for charity. If everyone was here for charity, we would not be able to afford anything because no one's donating everything to everything all the time. You do have to have a business that makes money. And in fact, believe it or not, this little spool of wire, this, when I pick it up for you guys, this little 50-pound spool of copper wire depending on what pricing I can get when I'm selling things, I might be able to pay off this machine with just this 1,000-foot spool, which is one of the reasons why I bought this specific 1,000-foot increment. I could have bought another couple hundred feet, but I was like, I'm going to do 100 feet, see what I can get from profit, see if I can cover the cost of this machine just from that. The reason for that, that's the crazy thing, guys. The reason for that is because my madman goal here is to actually get dozens to hundreds of machines like this one, or potentially better ones than this, and not get as many because the other ones could potentially do more, but get enough machines just like this one or similar to this one that I can actually like well and completely sort of take over the nail market. Because even stupid nails, they're overpriced for what they are, guys. Thinking there are people selling copper nails for $1 a piece or more online. And of course, some of those do come with free shipping, so okay, take $1 off of the whole ship price. Well, I guess more than $1, but end of the day, just take a little bit off. It's just a few cents a nail, and it's like, it's still an absolute ripoff. So my goal is to bring good quality nails to the market for a good price. It's not stupid, and slowly but surely I will work my way up to screws, and then nuts and bolts, and then all the different kinds of fasteners out there for me to sort of make a difference. And if I can bring the cost of fasteners down, eventually we might see the cost of housing come down a little bit, because instead of paying $5,000 for fasteners for your house, we might be able to get it down to $500 or something like that. Of course, I don't know if I can do a 90% reduction, that sort of thing, but it is a goal to see that I can quickly bring the cost of a lot of things down and still provide a good quality product. Because end of the day, if you ask me, I think the nail companies and other fastener companies, a lot of them have gotten a little bit lazy on their pricing. They're like, hey, we can charge this because we have our moat. No idiot is starting a fastener company in 2026. And hey, guys, I'm Caleb. This is Hold Fast Hardware, and I'm your idiot. I'm taking the fight to Goliath right here. That is actually why the little logo for Hold Fast Hardware is a little David with his sling getting ready to throw. This is my little rock that's going to hopefully help me take down Goliath, or at least take a little bit of a bite out of him. Of course, there are plenty of other things that I'm going to be doing in this business. I will be getting into that in plenty of other videos for you guys. I'm going to have so stinking much fun getting everything going and trying to make a difference in the world with something as stupid as a little nail right here that is on a little machine like this. And slowly but surely we're going to build something that's going to, again, hopefully change the world, or at the very least, change a good part of it. Of course, baby steps are what it takes, and this is my first baby step. And hopefully you guys that like this sort of stuff on YouTube, I hope that you guys will subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment, all this sort of stuff. Help this channel grow into something that actually helps me get a little bit more business, a little bit more traffic to the sales pages and stuff for my nails. I'd love for you guys to buy some nails and stuff. I will have that linked down in the shop section as soon as I can on YouTube. Of course, until then, it will just be down in the description area, a link to my online shops. But end of the day, it's up to you guys to sort of help me change the world with something as stupid as a nail. And I'd love to have as many of you guys that want to start your own random businesses. I'd love to have you guys sort of get encouraged to start your different manufacturing businesses. Of course, not everyone can do manufacturing. Some people will do service sector things. All these different people have their own skill sets and their own interests. So of course, you're going to do your own thing. But end of the day, this is sort of encouraging people to just get after it. It can be the most crazy bird-brained idea of, I'm going to start a nail business in 2026, and you could still see success. So with that said and done, I just want to thank you guys again for watching. Thank you for watching some of these earlier videos on the channel as I slowly get things dialed in. As you can tell, I do have one wall that is dialed in. That is what I want. That is the, I built that specifically to be a fun little soundboard thing that looked nice. And eventually we'll figure out that. I'm thinking chalkboard. I'd like to hear what you guys are going to vote down below. Feel free to just drop it in the comments what you guys think. But I'm thinking a chalkboard. I'm probably going to have like a little sort of Comex thing right here, or maybe not Comex, maybe it's like Chicago Mercantile, and have a few different things like copper spot, cow spot, and stuff like that. Like how much is a pound of beef, or whatever it is. Just going to pull those numbers probably off the the FRED, Federal Reserve Education Department, something like that. And just have all those different things just as a fun little ticker of sorts for people to watch and sort of see, oh, when was this made? Oh, this time, and it had this price, this price, this price, just as a fun little background thing. I'm not going to use the chalkboard a whole lot, but I will have that sort of be something that I update. That's what I'm playing with right now. I have a few other things that I do need to set up still, but end of the day, we'll just sort of see how all things work out. I do have the potential chalkboard right here next to me. I already have it all made up for the stuff that I'm going to be doing on it, so it's going to be a fun adventure. With all that said and done, again, thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to like, subscribe, all that jazz. And I already said it, but I'm really meaning it because this is a brand spanking new channel, and I do need that extra support to get a small channel like this going. With that said and done, subscribe button is going to be right here. My other videos are going to be right over here, and I hope that you guys do check those out. Do help my channel grow, and I will see you guys in the next one.